All righty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another One Piece manga review. Look, it was on vacay, but we back now, man. It's lit. It's lit. This is One Piece manga chapter 1033 review. I'm here joined by my guy, Mr. Christian Hollinger. I'm wearing green in honor of his guy. Big Zoro chapter this week, man. Gotta show the love.
Yep.
How you doing?
I'm doing excellent.
Yeah, it's a good week for you.
Excellent. Okay. Good. I've been waiting for Shimosuke flashbacks. We're not even done yet.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that. This is
literally what we've been waiting on because I said Zoro got a flashback to Shimosuke Village at the beginning of One Piece. I have no idea about any context there at all. We still don't know anything about, like his parents per se. I mean, we all believe Ichimaru is his father.
And that's where my question comes.
We don't know who was watching over him, but this chapter gave us some more information there.
Yep.
And we got a lot more things fleshed out about his childhood, which I definitely enjoyed. I gotta admit, Zoro's kind of a dumbass, though. I'm gonna get to that.
Hey, it took it. He had to get
cracking up.
He had to get hit on his head hard.
Coincidence? I'm just piecing this shit together.
wait till he pieces together who his parents are. But
I was happy it happened like that, but Zoro kind of slow sometimes.
That's a fact. All right, let's get into the way we do this. I do a quick summary of the chapter and then we break it down part by part. This chapter starts off 1033, Shimotsuki Kozaburo. This chapter starts off with Zoro talking to Emma about who gave you permission to unleash your powers, draining from his arm, that type of stuff. Him and King are fighting. They're doing that. We get a quick aside to Sanji, and I'm going to touch on that when we get there. Get a quick aside to Sanji and Queen talking. Back to Zoro, though. This is Zoro chapter. Zoro then hits him with a one sword style Ishi Death Song Lion Strike, and then King hits him with some more of his pull head back thwap shit. And they keep fighting, doing that shit. And, as they're fighting, we get to Zoro's flashback to Shimotsuki Village, talk all of that. And then, and we meet Kozaburo. We get all of that, find out more about Enma, and basically a whole straight Zoro and King fight this whole chapter.
Yep.
Where you want to start? Start us off, brother. This is
here's the thing.
This is big Zoro chapter.
I'm actually going to go against the grain here because
are we starting with the flashback?
We didn't do a 1032, so I'm going to handle just a couple of key things that I wanted to bring up from the last one. So I know a lot of people were thinking that Fuga was perhaps Zoro's father turned into one of the numbers. I just wanted to say I don't believe that anymore based off of the previous chapter. I think that Yamato and this specific number just had
a relationship,
correlation or relationship. In addition to that, let's give some retroactive props to Apu because this dude's durability, he's still up. He's still doing shit. We have some confirmations that we should have expected, but it's nice to actually get it confirmed where he tanks that CP0 and he says, Drake, I do know armament hockey. I mean, I'm not a scrub.
Yeah, facts.
So that was nice. I like the fact that Kanjuro's new drawing seems to be difficult to handle. And it was doing retroactive damage to some of the CP0 members. And then again, we get the correlation with King's durability, and Hiyori finally shows up. So we finally get the silhouette. We've known as Hiyori for the longest time.
Are you buying what people are saying? How that might be Toki and that? I just think it's Hiyori.
Hell no.
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah. Ever since, I've heard people say theories about, one of Komurasaki being Toki instead of Hiyori. Never bought into that ever. Toki's been dead. She's not coming back. So no. I think that's leading up into Orochi's death. I don't know if Amino Habakiri is anywhere around. But Hiyori's about to get her revenge.
Yeah, facts.
just wanted to quickly cover that. First,
shout out to X Drake, man. Bust up CP0. Right? I'm ready for that. I told you I'm big X Drake guy. Love to see X Drake get some love.
Now, where I want to start, again, sometimes I go into the cover story. I find it very suspicious that Tashigi and Kuina show up in the same chapter. We haven't seen Tashigi in forever, and she's on the cover story, the same arc, the same chapter that Kuina shows back up. I know they're not the same person. I'm just saying Oda is a freaking madman. What's going on?
That's crazy.
What's going on?
So are we starting with the fight, or should we do the flashback first?
Yeah, we can do a flashback.
Because the flashback to me is
the
super
flashback is a little less hype than the actual fight. We can go in on the fight a little bit more.
You're not hype about the flashback? I was hype about that. I was
no, I'm definitely hype about it, but the moment that I'm most hype about. So I'm going to go into that. Whereas Kozaburo, for me, was lore that, I've been waiting on. So I was very happy. We already kind of knew that Kozaburo, I believe, was related to Kuina. So it was nice to see that. But seeing his actual design was excellent. Seeing his mentality that I'm about to get into, I absolutely love it. And seeing his relationship to Zoro, I love it. So starting with Kozaburo in the flashback, what were you going to say? I
was just going to say, and speaking on that about his relationship with Zoro, this tells me they took him on the boat. Like, this tells me he doesn't know they took him on the boat. He doesn't know. He just, then the dojo raised him, and like that. Yep. That's what this tells me. Like, I'm like, his pops is 100%.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Yes. Zoro has no idea about the founding of Shimosuke Village, anything about it.
He just listened to what Kid said. And that's what that panel told me more, because it wasn't Zoro saying that. It was kids that he overheard say that. So that tells me he has no idea about who he is, where dude just cares about fighting. So, and straight up, that was the giveaway for me, where it's like, oh, okay. Like, they are looking after you because you're the daimyo's son.
Yeah. And to that point, especially with the Shimosuke Village being set up by pirates, I did make this joke about Kozaburo. I don't actually believe this, but I do find it funny. So we know that Kozaburo was a pirate, and he is a samurai, right? So then every time we get introduced to a new Wano samurai, I always flash back to Kizaru asking Sakazuki, like, should I go? And he's like, nah, hold up. We don't know about these Wano samurai yet. And I'm like, okay, so no doubt Kozaburo and whoever else left from Wano probably took down quite a few Navy ships.
That's a good call.
It's like they left them alone to set up that village for a reason.
Also love the fact that Kozaburo looks exactly like what Oda drew Zoro's sword's soul to look like.
Yep. I actually didn't catch that at first. That's excellent. His design is a little funny to me because that eyebrow is very
hilarious. Common. But that's exactly what he stayed true. So he told us a long time ago. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So going into that though, I'm assuming that Kozaburo is Koshiro's father.
Yeah.
Although it could be Kuina's mother's father. We don't know exactly yet, unless Kuina's last name is also Shimosuke, which
I assume that's.
But I'm assuming it's Koshiro.
Yeah, it's got to be Koshiro's pops.
And if that's the case, a lot of people have brought this up, but the mentality that they have about the blades almost contradict. Where Kozaburo is all about, a sword is crafted to kill people. And Koshiro's mentality is that a blade that just, kills or cuts anyone isn't really a sword. So they have
differing philosophies.
It's slightly different, in my opinion, because I think that when you deal with the breath of all things, what Koshiro is talking about is more of a delicacy. So again, I kind of read the Barate arc where Zoro goes up against Mihawk, and Mihawk is introduced. Someone shoots bullets at him, and Mihawk just casually kind of deflects the bullets. And we see, I believe it's Zoro who says, like, that was so finesse, or that was so clean in the way that Mihawk, casually deflected the bullets. Yeah. And Mihawk says, swinging a sword without, I'm butchering this, but basically swinging a sword without finesse is, basically just swinging an iron bar. So I feel like Koshiro is kind of talking about, okay, when you deal with the breath of all things, yeah, a blade's made to kill people. It's made to cut people.
Also, you got to think, fucking the Kozaburo's coming from like the bladesmith perspective of like,
right.
I force
this blade to kill people.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas Koshiro's more of a real samurai.
There's a reason why we have, kitchen knives. These things are formulated to cut specific things. A sword, however, is built to kill people.
Mm-hmm.
But again, just the sheer menace behind him and what he says here, where he says, listen closely, a sword is like a kitchen knife, but for murder. He doesn't just he says for murder. This is not about, being nice. It's not about, pulling a Rurouni Kenshin or what Zoro does, where he turns the back of his blade to knock you out.
No,
that's not really the purpose. The purpose is to lob your head off.
Mm-hmm.
So when I forge a blade, it is to make sure that I rack up the largest body count possible. Whoever wields this blade needs to build up the largest body count possible. So his energy and his desire for destruction, I believe, is
in the blades for sure.
And it is in his magnum opus of Enma.
Yep.
So I absolutely loved that. But to go into some other detail here. So we find out that he is, in fact, a pirate and a samurai. And he tells Zoro to hush about that because he doesn't, want anyone to overhear that.
Mm-hmm.
He's retired at this point. He doesn't feel like fighting the Navy. He's that classic fishing old man now, smoking on his pipe. So he's chilling. But in addition to that, I enjoyed the way that he seemed to be monitoring Zoro. And to your point, I believe this is because, again, he's the daimyo's son.
Also, if he wasn't, and I just saw this, just caught this, looking at the pages. If he wasn't the daimyo's son who uses two sword style, why did the man throw him two swords and not one?
Right. I mean, is there to that point though? I'm right there with you on that because Zoro is shown using two blades, but that is also possibly why.
How did he get that idea? Like, where did that didn't spawn from his childhood mind?
Right, because we see that Kuina and the rest of the kids are using one sword style. Even though the Shimosuke logo is two swords, and that goes into the whole lineage. So, you look at Ryuma. Ryuma is an Itoryu user. Ushimaru is a Nitoryu user. Zoro is a Santoryu user. So that lineage, I don't think it's literally grandfather, father, son, because Ryuma is hundreds of years old. But you still see that lineage. But we do see that specifically Kozaburo is watching Zoro train. And then he decides to throw him the two swords. And again, this is perhaps me reading into some things, but when he says, is the dojo boring to you? And Zoro immediately goes to, I lost to Queen again, I need more practice. And it seems as though Kozaburo is saying, I'm monitoring your progress. This is very interesting. I see Ushimaru in you. And I'm going to give you these real blades. I want you to take it to the next level. Yeah, these blades are crap. That's all I can forge now. But I see that desire and I'm going to reward that desire. You are finding a way to advance yourself and you're not complacent. You're not sitting at the dojo because, as we know, Zoro was beating adults as a kid.
Yep.
So, and when you remember the original flashback, we see Zoro training with a giant boulder on his back. He's lifting weights. Zoro was never complacent. And I believe that was Kozaburo rewarding Zoro by saying, look, you're on your own path. You're going to figure it out. Here's my meager help at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing, I don't necessarily believe that this blade is the same, but the scabbard of the blade looks exactly like Shiryu of the Rain's sword, that diamond shape.
Mm-hmm.
So that was also very, very interesting. I feel like Kozaburo would have mentioned that he, he forged another lethal blade.
Yeah.
Because I have no doubt that Shiryu's blade is also something that is bloodlusted and probably has a desire to rack up a body count, just like Enma. But that is very interesting because those scabbards do look very, very similar.
And it would make it look. I know we talking about Zoro's fighting Shiryu and whatnot, and First Commander stuff.
Right.
What if Shiryu killed killed Kozaburo and took his sword? Possible.
It's very possible. That's very possible.
So that's just food to thought on. But anything else you got from the flashback that you?
Well, yeah. I mean, this is also me perhaps reading into it, but that same column, or not column, but that same row of panels where Kozaburo is talking about how a sword is like a kitchen knife. You see at first Zoro's wielding this blade, and he seems very happy to have been given a real katana. And then on the left side, you see him saying "yikes." It could just be that Zoro is saying "yikes" to the description of a blade. But what I read into that is because right beneath it, it says, every sword has its own personality. A swordsman must master it and bend it to its will. I read into that, and I think that this was Zoro's first moment where when he grabbed that blade, he felt something in there. Yeah, the blade's crap. It doesn't have the same caliber as something like Enma, but I almost feel like Zoro felt that desire to cut down people. And that was his first feeling of like, yo, this is real. This is heavy.
There's a
burden behind picking up a real blade besides practicing with one of these bamboo swords. Off screen, we were talking about Baki. There's actually a perfect reference to this. Whenever Doppo Orochi is going up against Muhammad Ali, they first start off by fighting in sport. And Muhammad Ali completely bodies Doppo. So Doppo gets back up and says, okay, in sport, I can't touch you. So then they start a real fight, and Muhammad Ali throws a punch, and it misses. But Doppo says, no, I didn't move. I didn't dodge. You just did not hit me. And the reason he said that is because when you train with a bamboo sword, there's no problem. You can get up close and tap. But when you use a real blade, you're going to back up naturally because now you're dealing with death. And that's exactly what happened here. Muhammad Ali in the Baki Jr., in the Baki series, was not used to dealing with death yet. So when he felt that aura, he instinctively backed up.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm reading here. This is the first time that I think that Zoro's sensing the intent to kill. So I felt that was very, very impressive. And then finally, my favorite line, possibly from Kozaburo, period. You think a dangerous sword is cursed? No, that's a sign of great quality. When the weak fear a sword and call it cursed, that's a badge of honor. So to me, that was very interesting because Kozaburo basically killed the idea of cursed swords.
Yep.
Cursed swords are not a real thing. It's just that weaklings can't wield
hold it. Yep.
They're probably scared. So they make a mistake and they cut themselves or they die because they're weak.
Cursed. Yep.
If you pick up Enma, if you're weak, you die because you get drained of all your hockey. Mm-hmm. So cursed swords aren't really real. So I kind of like that, even though I always was like, well, I don't know where the cursed swords idea is going to go from.
I think that's a good thing. Like it makes it like where the rumor of these things happening instead of like, oh no, this dude just couldn't wield this. That's his fault.
Right.
So I do rock with that. That is a good point. Okay. So that's the flashback. All right.
Yep.
Where you want to go with you want to do the Sanji stuff real quick?
Yeah. Let's tap into the Sanji.
Sanji's going to be a Lunarian. Or let me not say full-blooded. He's going to have traces of Lunarian in his DNA. I'm standing on that.
Again, I don't know offhand the Vinsmoke lore again, but the Vinsmokes originally were around the Red Line, right?
Oh man,
I know they were in the North Blue, but
they're in the okay. So they were in the North Blue, but they could. So after the 66 days, they transversed around trying to get stronger to take back the North Blue. But the way they did that was crossing over the Red Line. They're the only people who could cross over the Red Line. Thus, if there's remains of anything, Judge is the only person who could get it.
Right. And that's kind of where I was going with that, because we know that the Lunarians were held as gods and at one point lived, I believe, above the Red Line. So it would make sense that Judge would be impressed by that and say, I want some of that for my soldiers, especially if they had the title of God at one point. He's like, I want to create the strongest, God tier sons and, mercenaries. So I absolutely at this point believe that Sanji has Lunarian DNA in him.
Because if not, that panel makes no sense being in this chapter.
Not only that, but originally when Queen brings it up, we see that King is speechless, but it shows the ... and he's looking away, like he's looking at Sanji. You then couple this with the anime, where, Raid Suit Sanji goes up against King, and they're pretty much doing the same thing. They both use flame kicks. They can both erupt into flames. Not the same way that King shows that he erupts here. But Sanji does in fact erupt into flames.
Yep.
We do know that for a while, Sanji at first, when he used Diable Jambe, had to, use centripetal acceleration, which we've never seen King do yet. But that could just be that was the way that Sanji's body tapped into the Lunarian DNA.
Part of it, yep.
Until he became a little bit more
stronger
versed with,
yeah.
So to me, at this point, for King to kind of acknowledge the phrase Lunarian in reference to Sanji, and then have Queen reference this, and it's not just some internal thing, he's actually saying it to Sanji, and Sanji not saying something like, I don't care, like we're in the middle of a fight. Like he's actually like, wait, tell me more about this. That's Oda pointing out
there's something there.
Something Lunarian about Sanji.
Yeah.
And then
it's crazy just thinking of it. The fact that Judge is the only person that could get on top of the Red Line is like,
right.
Yeah.
And then you have countless theories about Sanji's eyebrows referencing the cosmos and the universe. And then Lunarian has the word lunar in it.
Yep.
So you have the reference of, the lunar celestial bodies. So I'm completely buying Lunarian's DNA being a part of Sanji.
Yeah, I'm in there. I'm in there. That's all for the Sanji portion.
That's really it. I am a little perplexed because we don't get to see all of Queen, but we do get to see that Queen is still on fire. Mm-hmm. So that's also really good because previously, every time that we've seen Sanji pull up an attack, Queen may have had like charred marks on him, like on his stomach, briefly, but we still see that Queen's on fire.
Yep.
So Hell Memories is in fact a higher caliber. Queen is still smiling, but that's also to build up the fact that the calamities are no joke. Thanks. So I'm still enjoying that.
Same, ready for it.
But I'm also glad that it was condensed to essentially one page, because this is still a Zoro chapter.
That's a fact.
So yeah, from there we continue on from 1032, where Enma is pulling on Zoro's haki of its own volition, and we get some more interesting King choreography here. So at first, we've got King recognizing that Zoro's kind of distracted and apparently talking to his blade. And then we see possibly one of the highest calibers of durability and chadness from King, period.
Now let me ask you, is that durability or is that him? Because, he says jackpot. Did he want him to hit him?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Like, no, that's what I'm saying. That's why I said this is one of the most Chad things I have ever seen, because King runs up to Zoro and then stops.
Yeah.
And like, hit me. And lets Zoro hit him.
Hit him, yeah, facts.
Now, of course, it's a trap, but at the same time, even if he's going to combust, Zoro's hitting you, and this is Zoro. I can't tell if this is Enma. I'm assuming it is. But how many characters can we think of right now
that can take that
walk
blow?
up to Zoro and be like, "Go ahead and stab me"?
Not many.
Especially after what we saw on the rooftop, right?
Yeah.
So we know that Zoro has the caliber to cut Kaido, and King says, "Go ahead, hit me." So we don't necessarily know how this works yet, because King still hasn't gotten damaged yet, which is a little bit confusing to me, because how did Zoro cut his mask and reveal part of his face, but now he can't do any damage at all?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so what's going on with that? But King just tanks a blow from Zoro like it's nothing, which is, very interesting. Zoro, however, is able to tank that with armament hockey, which, again, I kind of expected. But King is looking very, very impressive, because Zoro just constantly ends up on the ground. Like, I don't think I've seen Zoro on the ground this much since Mr. One.
This is a real fight for him. This is a real fight.
This is real. And this is one of these moments where I was one of the main people saying Zoro versus King makes no sense at all. Everything that we saw on the rooftop would invalidate King, because Kaido can use flame breath, and we already saw Zoro cut that. Zoro already cut Kaido, so surely a Yonko Commander 1 wouldn't have higher durability or anything like that. Kaido can fly, King can fly, so
Oda did the damn
what's
thing,
new
man.
here?
Yeah.
So, and this is one of those things where it's like, I absolutely love when Oda makes me look stupid. I said there's no point to this, and I am absolutely enjoying this fight.
You got a flashback. That's how real this fight is.
That's how real this is, right? So
your boy was dumb just to recognize that just now, though.
And I'm about to get to that, because that literally had me almost crying tears of just, dude, what the hell is wrong with you?
But
bro?
I will say, I don't like King's pull his head. I don't like that attack. Like,
it was funny the first time.
But he still do it the second time. No, not at all.
It was a meme. It was funny. I get it. But
like,
all of the dinosaurs and beast pirates have some kind of gimmick that was funny. Whether it's Sasaki turning into a helicopter,
it's Queen Slug
shooting his neck out of his body, and then
his slug body out of his arms and legs.
Right. Last chapter, King talking about, oh, this is how the ancient pterodactyl or whatever hunted. And then Zoro's like, oh, they had flames on their back. And King's like, no,
pull my head
so
back.
It's funny, but this chapter was kind of like, okay, we're doing this again.
Yeah.
I absolutely love Shishi Son Son. Anytime it's shown, it looked, this is the best Shishi Son Son has ever looked in my life.
Yeah, that was a great attack.
It does nothing. Nothing. This has never happened, in my opinion. Because I think the only other time that Shishi Son Son was shown to be inadequate was against Bartholomew Kuma. And even that did something. It cut through his skin, cut almost through his shoulder, revealed a bunch of his inner workings, and Kuma was actually hurt. Like, we saw Kuma freak out a bit. King
had the Luffy eyes and then woke back up like Luffy.
I'm not even sure if that's really he got temporarily knocked out even. I think that might just be, dramatic effect, because
that's a good point.
He's not phased at all. Like Zoro says, he's not phased at all. Now, off air again, we were talking about King versus Katakuri. This is interesting because I have seen this take. I didn't get this at first, but I do see it. So when King uses Imperial Deep Fried Steak we see that Enma, distracts Zoro, and he ends up taking damage. A lot of people correlate this attack to when Katakuri used his what's the name of his weapon?
His Mogura.
His Mogura, and he ended up, carving out a portion of Luffy. And they're saying, well, this attack looks a lot like that attack. Zoro is bloody, but he doesn't have a portion of him cut out. And he kind of tanked that. So if you compare Deep Pride Steak and the way that it hit Zoro in this chapter to the way that Luffy got hit when he got distracted by, what's that chick's name?
Flampe.
Flampe. The damage received is completely different. Now, again, I'm just now making this correlation, but that's actually fair in my opinion, because this King has been shown to have durability that may actually legitimately output Kaido's.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we know that Zoro was able to take all of Luffy's pain plus his pain and still stay conscious. So some, right hands may, have some stats that outrank, their captain. So durability might just be King and Zoro's specialties here. Mm-hmm. But I did want to bring that up. I'm not really trying to get into a debate of King versus Katakuri. Yeah. But I did find that, a lot of people were making that correlation. I did find that very interesting, especially when you look at the impact, because we saw that Zoro cut that entire horn off of that giant skull. And here we see what seems to be a ginormous amount of damage from Deep Pride Steak. Also, the name is hilarious to me. Imperial Deep Pride Steak. And it's like deep fried steak. Like, okay, Oda.
I'm telling you, I'm sick of that pad pullback. Like I want to see King. I want to see King throw hands.
It was funny the first time. Wasn't that funny this time? Now, I said before, King is a swordsman, but the depth of his swordsmanship is very shallow. And it's shown in this chapter because he's basically clowning Zoro for caring about his swords. Mm-hmm. Which is very interesting because in this chapter, Zoro essentially has a flashback to each one of his swords each time he recovers it. And I did enjoy that because, again, it kind of reinforces this bond that Zoro has with each of his blades. I believe that when he grabbed blades, he and his blades communicated again. So I enjoyed those callbacks. And we have it here, this one panel. I've already seen it before, but to go back to the Lunarian thing, this specific kick by King, where he says, you're going to die just to save your sword.
Looks very Sanji.
Just very Sanji-esque. And again, we see Zoro upside down in the ground, which I find hilarious.
Yeah, like, he's struggling.
I've never seen Zoro look like this.
But this is what Zoro fans wanted, man. Like
this is what we all want.
Yeah,
we've been waiting on this because Zoro has been cruising through the new world,
and we low key got hybrid King in the next one when he's slinging Imperial slings and arrows, low key.
Yep. So
and then that's Zoro's arm too getting drained by Enma at the same time with all of that happening.
Yep. And Zoro's arm is looking,
very fiendish.
Terrible. Yeah. So we continue on here, and Zoro just starts with just epiphanies that it's like, dude, you got here, you heard about the Shimotskis, and you didn't correlate Shimotsky Village. You saw the logos, and you didn't recognize Shimotsky Village's logo.
Hey, my man was too busy getting drunk and getting Hiyori's cheeks.
It's gotta be. So this man says, it all came on so sudden. I wasn't putting it together. Why would there be a famous katana of Wano in some tiny village in the East Blue? It's like, dude, come on, man. You heard about Sanachi, and you tell Momonosuke about it. Momonosuke is telling you, look, this is a word from Wano. I'm not supposed to be saying this. And you're like, all right, whatever. You're not correlating that. The old man was always sitting there on the coast. I never knew his name. It wasn't until the day he died that I learned he was Kalina's grandpa. It's like, come on, man. When Hitetsu was telling you about Kozaburo, this wasn't clicking for you. So that shit had me cracking up because I was
That
just
was
like,
funny.
girl, you kind of slow sometimes, man.
A little bit, but I did. My favorite panel of this whole shit, it's two. It's the one where Emma comes down and it's the king of the underworld, Emma, and they name it, and we in the Kozaburo flashback. But it goes to that next panel where it's like it came to choose me so it could test me, and he picks it up. Oh, that's badass.
Oh, yeah. And this also leads into some other things that were very interesting to me. Because here we see that Zoro's not actually touching Enma, yet his haki is still being drained by Enma, and Enma is still black. So I absolutely enjoyed that. I don't know what that even means in this case.
Yeah.
Because how is Enma still draining Zoro's haki without directly touching him? Unless there's some kind of intangible connection that Zoro and Enma have at this point. So that to me was very interesting. I'm not reading too much into it yet, but
yeah, I think that might be a design thing right now, at least right now.
So then Zoro goes into what I was saying along with you many chapters ago, where, attack potency wise, I would say that Zoro and Odin are probably neck and neck, but the way that Odin was able to fight with Enma, it was, a whole tier above Zoro.
Yep.
And we see here that Zoro actually acknowledges this. He's like, okay, so does this mean that even with so much haki being drained away, Odin wielded you as though you were as light as a feather? And we never saw Odin ever struggle with Enma.
Or have his arm drained, not once.
Ever. So this is really, really interesting to me. I also wanted to bring up earlier, I believe King said, all right, yeah. Previously, when King's is using Imperial slings and arrows, he says, do you have all three swords yet? Which reminds me of the previous chapter where he says, I crave a good fight. Like, he knows Zoro is a Santoryu user.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that he's wasting all of his time, quote unquote, trying to save his blades. But he's like, all right, bro, you got your blades back yet? Like, can we continue this fight? So, But
then the best part is when he grabs the sword and just conquers hockey's just everywhere. And then King's like, oh, so you intend to be a king?
This again, look, I gotta go off. So I along with a lot of Zoro fans knew, like, a lot of people can say, okay, well, you don't know until it's, confirmed. But I've known Zoro's had Conqueror's haki for forever. People have been calling it just Zoro's really intimidating or whatever. But it's like, okay, the focus is on his eye. Then people get intimidated and lose their will to fight. What else are you going to call that? Like, that is Conqueror's haki. Mm-hmm. So when Kaido says it, the amount of people who said, nah, Zoro still doesn't have it. The name of that freaking chapter was Conqueror's haki, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, it was about Luffy and Zoro's. But hey, at least now it's confirmed, though. Confirmed for them.
The anime comes in, completely just shows Zoro using Conqueror's haki. People are still like, nah, that's intimidation. It took 3 instances for people to finally be like, okay, shit. Yeah, he's got it. So I'm using this chapter to kind of clear up some things. So we have Fishman Island, where Zoro says if Luffy couldn't do at least this much, he needs to step down. I've always said Zoro said that because Zoro can do something similar, not knock out 50,000. Don't think I'm saying that. But Zoro saying Luffy being able to knock out a bunch of people with Conqueror's haki, that statement in Fishman Island was him essentially implying, well, I can do that.
Yeah.
So Luffy should be able to do something even better than that.
Yeah.
So one, this there. Then people tried to deny it because of the whole Wano scenario where Brook is being a troll saying, you beast of a man, did you do this? And Zoro's like, I didn't do this. Again, I read that as no, I'm not responsible for this one. So a lot of people were saying, well, no, that's not it. Or the fact that Zoro says, huh, to Kaido whenever he says, do you also use it? Well, Zoro also says, huh, in this chapter.
Yeah.
But, I'm going to get to that in a second. So the point is, when Zoro cut Kaido with Ashura, I think he unknowingly used Advanced Conqueror's coding. He didn't know he did that.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what he was responding to, where I think that Zoro was probably in a mentality where, unlike Luffy, who got a full breakdown of all the Hakis, maybe or maybe not, Mihawk talked to him about Conqueror's Haki, because I definitely believe Mihawk is a conqueror. But it's possible that he didn't really go in that depth into
I don't see Mihawk
Haki.
doing that. I just feel like they just fought, and it was like, pick it up if you get it.
Right. And so Zoro unknowingly, because, swordsmen pick up Rio instinctively, Zoro's ability to coat his blades in any kind of Haki is effectively instinctive to him. So he probably was more familiar with knocking out people and their will to fight with Conqueror's Haki. So I believe that was 10-10. He was like, wait, what? Like, why are you talking about Conqueror's Haki? I wasn't trying to knock you out with Conqueror's Haki. So here, again, I said it before, when he first tamed Enma, when he cut down the tree branch, there was a focus on his eye, and then he gives a command to Enma, give it back. So he conquered Enma for a moment. And so here, same thing happens. He says, okay, I have to stabilize my Haki. He says, all right, Enma, you're testing me. Let me remind you, I'm the king. So I'm making references to a lot of the anime. This is a Bleach reference. Hollow Ichigo versus Ichigo. He talks about what's the difference between the king and the horse.
Yep.
Zoro saying, I'm the king, Enma, you're the horse. He had to exert, I'm in control. I know you're testing me, so now let me show you exactly who the fuck I am. Facts. And when he does this, another thing that we've been hoping for was, again, going back to 10-10, when Zoro uses, I don't think it was 10-10, maybe it was something in between, before 10-10, but when he uses the Tatsumaki versus Kaido's Dragon Twister, we see that only Enma has the black flame effect. All his other blades look normal, but Enma has this black flame, which means that it's absorbing the bulk of Zoro's Haki. It's not evenly distributed. So here, when he stabilizes it, or in other words, regulates his Haki,
they're all there.
We see that he knocks out the fodder, and all three of his blades now are engulfed in not only the black Conqueror's Haki, Advanced Conqueror Haki coating that we've seen from Luffy, Roger, Whitebeard, etc., that Haki drip, but all three of them now also have the flaming effect.
Yep.
So I'm actually confused about what that is, because again, going back to the anime, we know that Enma had this flame effect when he cut the cliff. The cliff was actually burning. So I don't know if this is like Enma's flame effect being distributed. I don't know if this is what Zoro learned from Kinemon, where he has the flame slice, and it's like, why is all three of his blades on fire and has Conqueror's Haki coating? That's very interesting to me. Now, this is also something I want to ask you. So the unofficial says, so you also have ambitions to be a king, whereas the official says, so you intend to be a king then. So when I read the unofficial, I was like, wait, does King have Conqueror's Haki?
Oh, yeah, he has to, huh?
I kind of feel like it because, one, Kaido already said we already have enough conquerors. So, and that he was saying that when he had Kid locked up. So it's like, well, he's a conqueror. Who else had Conqueror's Haki in his group?
And I know he's not talking about Yamato.
Well, he was talking about Yamato because he knew Yamato had Conqueror's Haki since
Do you think he would? But do you think he would count Yamato as like someone he could rely on for his crew? Like, I don't know if he's saying that about like Yamato. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe not, but I feel like before Yamato did what she did in this war, Kaido still kind of had hopes of breaking her.
Gotcha.
Where he was like, well, you have an important devil fruit that, I didn't want you to necessarily have. I'm glad that you're strong. I'm glad that you have Conqueror's Haki. I haven't broken you yet, but once I break you, you'll be an asset. And then when Wano happens and he sees like, oh, you're really doing this. He's like, all right, screw this. Like, you're not on my side. I'll kill you.
But nah, King has it. No. King, I'm 100% King has it. If Katakuri has it, and I'm assuming Ben Beckman has it, King has it.
Yeah. So I feel like King has it. The official changes it, but we finally get the confusion ending here. Zoro says, what? Then he says, that's right. I've got a promise to keep to my captain and my best friend. And that promise, in other words, is to be the king of swordsmen.
Yep, to be the world's greatest swordsman. That's his kingly ambition, thus his conquerorness. 100%.
Right.
Great chapter. Great chapter all the way around.
Great chapter, in my opinion. I said it again. Look, man, I don't know what the correlation between Kuina and Tashigi is.
Out of all the things, that's what he goes back to.
Kuina's dream is indirectly the same as Tashigi's dream. And the reason why I say that is because what is Tashigi's dream? To take all the blades, all the famed blades from all the pirates. How the hell are you going to do that if you're not the strongest? Because Mihawk has a famed blade. So Tashigi's basically saying, one day I'm going to beat Mihawk and take Yoru from me.
And she's not beating Zoro.
She's not beating anybody, man.
She could maybe catch Vista on a bad day.
maybe
like old man.
Series,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's
it's like Rayleigh and he's old.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like 70-year-old, 80-year-old Vista. And she walks up like, give me your sword.
Nobody, man. Like nobody.
You want to talk about some nobodies? I've been waiting for this whole time. You know who's a nobody? I've been meaning to say this. Gets on my Jack's a fucking nobody.
Nobody.
Like, oh my God. Like, I'm looking at Kaido and I'm like, Kaido, man, you got to do better with your crew, dog. Like, King and Queen, grade A. And I mean, I guess Jack's cool for a third, but like, Luffy got Jinbei, dog. And that's his fourth. Like, you got to do better than fucking Jack.
And I think it's a foregone conclusion that he's about to kick Yamato.
And I'm on that. I'm exactly. Like, come on. And Jack thought who thought he was gonna be an all-star? Like, what's up with these bums? But can we say that now because the Straw Hats are like super strong? Like before this, we were like, oh, those guys look good, but like they're fucking bums now. Like the
Queen and Kaido are the only relevant Beast pirates
right now. Seriously. Legit, like I'm not worried. Like if you ask me, all right, rank the threats of Onigashima. Right. Kaido, obvious number 1. Big Mom number 2.
Yeah.
King and Queen are 3 and 4.
Yeah.
And then I'm going CP0.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Jack or any of those other fucks. I might put Conjuro's Flame Monster after CP0.
If I had to say, okay, I got Jinbei over Jack. I got Yamato over Jack. If I'm being real, I've got Hyogoro with Queen's.
Yes, I agree with his prime.
When he had briefly at his prime, that Hyogoro is bodying Jack. I got Kyoshiro, Denjiro, all the scabbards except maybe Raizo.
Yeah.
Over Jack, because I don't know.
And maybe Ashura Doji, because his bitch ass got beat early.
Ashura Doji beat the shit out of Jack already, remember?
True. Yeah, you're right.
It was so bad. Ashura Doji put his blade down and let Jack slice him and was like, what is this?
You're right.
This is boring. Right.
I'm sorry, Ashura Doji. I take that back. Yeah, Jack's a bum.
He stopped blocking Jack and was like, what are you doing?
Dude's a bum. Jack's a bum. Ugh.
Jack ran to Caesar because he couldn't do shit.
Yeah, that's oof. Does Kaido know that? Like, Kaido should have definitely dropped him down.
I mean, to be fair, I don't know who's who can beat him. So who's who is the next best
Look,
thing?
I'm taking the Tiger Man.
So Jack is just there just because he just hasn't been beaten yet.
Fair. That's fair. Yeah.
But the gap between Jack and Queen
is huge.
Is ridiculous.
It's huge. Like,
I mean, if the Scabbards were able, I mean, Inuyasha and Nekomamushi have been manhandling Jack since introduction. I don't know if Jack could even take one of Diable Jambe's attacks from Sanji.
Right now, yeah, no. And it makes sense why...
Forget Hell Memories.
No, I know what you're talking about. But it makes sense why they were thinking X Drake wanted to be a all-star, because I feel like they thought X Drake was the one who could challenge Jack and beat his ass, which I fully think so now. Like,
and briefly talking on Drake, you know, I did enjoy CP0 basically saying, you know, yeah, we know who you are, but you're still a mutant, so you could die.
Yeah, we got to get rid of you. We got to get rid of these pests. Like, we know who you are.
CP0 is really a fucking menace.
We know who you are. You know who we are. And both of us cannot leave knowing that we were both here. So we gonna kill you, partner.
Yep. Like, we don't give a shit about Sword. We don't really give a shit about the world government.
We do.
We are a completely different entity, and you know too much. And Apu had me cracking up laughing.
Yeah, when he took the pictures.
Got you in 4K.
Yeah, that was
hard.
I'm
selling these to Big Morgans.
That was hard.
Got your ass.
That was hard. I cannot lie. Apu definitely got some points for me when he was like, got you in 4K. I'm selling these. That was hard. I was like, yes, make your money, son.
Who else is really like...
that was one of the most hard things in One Piece.
Be a Yonko. Like, I've been in some debates where they're actually saying like, okay, the Warlord system is done. After Big Mom and Kaido fall, the Yonko system is done. So, you know, the whole systems, you know, is going to be in disarray. So I don't even know if like people are going to take the spots of Kaido and Big Mom for real. But we're talking like Apu never gave me like he's going to be a Yonko or anything. But
dude's just a schemer.
He's just a schemer, man.
Yeah, he's like, honestly, he could have been Doflamingo. He could have been like the broker.
No, seriously,
he could have been the broker. Like, I can see
like, he has like his energy just has me cracking because you know he's like in 4K. Like, he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, no,
he
not at all.
CP0 is dangerous. He's like, and what?
What you gonna do? Yeah, exactly. And that's confidence. I fuck with that. So yeah, no, I'm with you. Apu definitely gained some respect in my books because before I just saw him as like a piece of shit. But now he might be over Hawkins for me, man. Hawkins is looking like a bum.
Hawkins is low tier to me, man. Low tier. You're supposed to be one of the most intelligent, you know, like mental gymnastics.
Yeah.
I'm thinking 5 steps ahead, and you don't even know Kid lost an arm. And
dude only think 1 step ahead. Like, dude don't even like Hawkins is a scrub.
Come on.
And I rewatched that. They replayed that Kaido flashback. He definitely knew Kid had a metal arm. He saw it. What an idiot. Did he think that was just like he covered his arm in metal? Like, I mean, I guess.
All the time? But no. But I mean, but not only that, but like, okay, you look at a theme. In One Piece, anytime a Devil Fruit user loses an arm, they replace it with their Devil Fruit. Aokiji lost a leg, has an ice leg. Kid lost an arm. He has a metal arm.
If Shanks had a Devil Fruit, he'd use it. That's the one.
Yeah. I can't think of anyone else at the moment. I mean,
Josu did the
Crocodile could have probably made like a sand hand, but he made a hook instead. Well, he has a hook. But if you wanted to, we all know Crocodile could make a sand hand if he wanted to. If
I'm pretty sure Josu did that
Flamingo
diamond
loses
thing.
an arm, he could make a string arm. We already know because he made a whole string clone. So this is what they do, man. So Hawkins is pathetic.
Shout out to the bums of One Piece. I'm talking to you, Jack. I'm talking to you, Hawkins. Fucking bums.
But straight bums. Hawkins really took on Zoro and Luffy and actually thought he was going to win or some shit.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do? Like, you're a supernova.
Dude, Hawkins took L's to Law, Zoro, Luffy, and Killer this arc. Like, L's.
Every supernova flexed on him.
Yeah, Hawkins was literally like the supernova walking board. Like, I'm just going to step over you. Crazy. Like great Law, and Law beat him with like having control of his. Like I don't know how Law did that still to this day. We really don't.
To be honest,
was it X Drake that helped him? I'm pretty sure
it could have been, but I always thought like, okay, how does Hawkins even fight Law? Like if Law uses room and cuts Hawkins, he's not hurting his crew because slicing someone in half with room isn't damage.
Fair
so
enough.
You could like incapacitate Hawkins without killing your crew.
True. Yeah, that's a good.
Hawkins going to counter that by being like, oh, well, I don't want you to split me in half, so I'll transfer the damage to your crewmate. Okay, well, Sachi or whoever would be like, oh, I just got split in half. Oh,
yeah.
Let me just put my body back together because I know how my captain's
ability works. Yeah, fair enough.
So I had no idea why Law was ever, held up by Hawkins ever, aside from plot.
Yeah. L's Hawkins. But that's pretty much all we got this week. Christian, tell the people where they can follow you on social media.
Yep. So on Twitter, it's going to be at Hollinger94. Any other platform is going to be Arc Season or Design Season LLC.
Y'all make sure y'all go follow Christian. You can follow me at LinBWT. Follow Bros Think at Bros Think. We'll be back next week. No break. I'm predicting Sanji chapter. We can't dive more into the Zoro thing unless we finish in the fight. Like we're inching close to finishing the fight territory.
I feel like again, when it comes down to Zoro choreography, we all know this. To me, this is a Mr. One parallel. Zoro can't damage him. So the same thing happened with Mr. One. Zoro got fucked up. Never seen Zoro on the ground or bloodied up like this bad, aside from Mr. One. Can't do any damage. As soon as they figure something out, it's a one shot. So I don't know. I kind of feel like the choreography is going to the point where Zoro's now figured something out. So the next blow that he delivers to King should finish it. But King doesn't really seem fazed by the fact that Zoro just pulled the shit out. He's just like, oh, so you're a king. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to see.
So I don't know.
We're going to see.
But based on what Zoro does, if he figures it out, now that also could be correlated to Zoro still saying, I need to figure out what you are.
Yeah.
So maybe that does mean that King
we gotta finish
or someone has to dive into Lunarian lore a little bit more, which I don't know, but
it could go either way.
Be rapid.
Yeah,
because I said this before. We both agreed on this. I don't mind how Sanji versus Queen has been broken up thus far, but just like Zoro pretty much got a whole chapter to himself.
I need a Sanji one.
Don't break up Sanji versus Queen. Just go ahead and give us Sanji versus Queen and let us focus on that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll be back next week. Y'all have a good one. Until then, peace.